Oh. Oh. Oh, I love you.
What kind of syrup do you get if you tap that tree? The Last Unicorn is an animated movie from 1982. It's based on a book of the same name, published by Peter S. Beagle in 1968. I remember watching this movie at a friend's house when I was a kid, but her mom turned it off halfway through because she thought it was too scary for children. I remember at the time I was very indignant, but now, as an adult, I kind of think she was right. So I had the vague notion of a sad unicorn cartoon just floating around as a loose thread in my brain for a couple of years before I was able to track it down. It's not as weird as some other cartoon movies from the 80s and 90s, but it is very beautiful and odd, scary and sad. It has more boobs than I expected.
The last unicorn.
The intro to this movie looks like a medieval tapestry, and I think it's supposed to specifically resemble the 7 tapestries that comprise the Hunt of the Unicorn. Which, by the way, apparently those tapestries are the source of several mysteries. Scholars don't know exactly who made them, but apparently they are exquisitely done, like well beyond what you would expect for the time. And they are clearly loaded with a ton of symbolism that nobody has entirely deciphered yet. I think they were made by aliens, like the pyramids. Anyway, 80s animated movies have some very interesting folksy theme songs, although they really can't compare with the high-octane cartoon intros of the 90s.
It's the last unicorn.
I'm alive! The movie opens with 2 hunters looking for game in a very pretty forest, but they keep coming up empty, so they just assume that it's a unicorn forest, and that's why they can't find anything.
I tell you, there is one unicorn left in the world, and as long as it lives in this forest, we'll find no game to hunt here.
To me, it sounds like they're just making excuses, but whatever. One of the hunters kind of calls out passive-aggressively, just assuming that the unicorn can hear them.
And good luck to you, for you are the last.
The unicorn apparently did hear the hunter and has been fixating on what he said.
I am the only unicorn there is.
For days.
Why would I be the last? What do men know? Am I truly the last?
Very relatable. This singing butterfly shows up, and the song is kind of weird.
Wave the flag for Hudson High, boys. Oh, have you seen the Muffin Man? One alone.
And this movie has songs. I wouldn't necessarily call it a musical. I would just call it an animated movie that sometimes surprises you with music.
You're my pickle-faced, consumptive Mary Jane.
You're my pickle-faced, consumptive Mary Jane. Okay, I know the butterfly's dialogue is referencing other songs or jingles, but I have never heard that before. To the archives! Google, it's Google. Apparently, there was an old song called Hungry Hash House that had the lyric, "You're my freckle-faced, consumptive Mary Jane." So, sure, we're just gonna take that and just keep going. The butterfly tells her that all of the other unicorns are gone. They were chased by the Red Bull.
They passed down all the roads long ago, and the Red Bull ran close behind them and covered their footprints.
And then flies away. Because Red Bull gives you wings. I'm sorry, I had to make that joke right up front because that company's tagline is just gonna be scratching at the inside of my head for this entire video. The unicorn is like, what if they're hanging out without me? I'm a search for them.
Suppose they're hiding together, somewhere far away. What if they're waiting for me?
So she goes off on her journey.
Here I am, one man's road.
The song lyrics are directly reflective of what is happening in the movie.
I'm hungry, weary.
I mean, the song was written for this movie, but still, it's very literal.
The rain comes.
We encounter Mommy Fortuna's traveling carnival, and yes, her name is Mommy Fortuna. I kind of think Mama Fortuna would have sounded better, but I didn't write the book. Mommy casts a sleeping spell on the unicorn and imprisons her in a cage. The carnival appears to be full of other mythological creatures, but the unicorn can see through the illusions, and all of the other animals are actually normal and old and sad. One of the other creatures at the carnival is real, the harpy Seleno. The harpy has 3 tits. That's what we're all thinking. This thing could be real and about to kill me, and I would be like, why does that bird have 3 boobs? It's not what mythological harpies look like, by the way. They're supposedly birds with lady faces, and they do have boobs, but they have 2 normal boobs. So I've read the last unicorn book, but it was forever ago, and I remember exactly nothing from it, which does worry me, because like, what's going on up here? But I did revisit parts of the book for this video, so I would like to read you the description of the harpy from the book. There sat on an oaken perch a creature with the body of a great bronze bird and a hag's face, clenched and deadly as the talons with which she gripped the wood. She had the shaggy round ears of a bear, but down her scaly shoulders, mingling with the bright knives of her plumage, there fell hair the color of moonlight, thick and youthful around the hating human face. She glittered, but to look at her was to feel the light going out of the sky. So yeah, that's different. The movie made a strong choice. Anyway, the harpy is real pissed to be in a cage.
Get rid of her, Mommy!
The witch knows about the Red Bull.
The Red Bull of King Haggard.
One of Mommy's employees, Schmendrick, the magician, wants to free the unicorn.
She sees me as a clumsy fraud, a trickster. But I am Schmendrick the magician!
But while he is a real magician, he's not very good.
Stop the boss!
He does have one really great line that's pulled right from the book.
My dear, you deserve the services of a great wizard, but I'm afraid you'll have to be glad of the aid of a second-rate pickpocket.
So why didn't you use the keys first? You almost crushed the unicorn to death with your crappy magic. He frees the unicorn, but they get discovered, so the unicorn decides to free all of the other animals, including the harpy. Who then kills Mommy Fortuna. There's this horrible little sound of pain from Mommy Fortuna. We don't see any blood. Instead, the harpy flashes red. And the line in the book is, "Then the harpy reached her and she broke like a dead stick and fell. The harpy crouched on her body, hiding it from sight, and the bronze wings turned red." So in the text, it's pretty obvious that the red is blood, but the movie decided to interpret it very literally. A theme. But we know she's dead because a few shots later you see Mommy's corpse in the foreground while the harpy is feasting upon her henchmen. Children's movie? Schmendrick is upset over seeing an old woman murdered by a 3-titted bird, as one would be. But the unicorn is like, nah, it's fine.
She chose her death long ago. It was the fate she wanted.
Schmendrick decides to accompany the unicorn on her quest. He would have asked her to make him a real magician, but...
I cannot turn you into something you are not. I cannot turn you into a true magician.
Damn, that's cold. We get some background on King Haggard.
Some say that Haggard's land was green and soft once before he came. But the minute he touched it, it became hard and gray.
And about the Red Bull.
I've heard that the Red Bull protects Haggard, or else that it keeps him a prisoner in his own castle. There are so many stories.
And it's indicative of the effective marketing of Red Bull energy drink, because every time they say Red Bull, I hear inside my head, it gives you wings. They reach Haggard's lands, but some outlaws grab Schmendrick and take him to their leader, Captain Cully. Cully's wife, Molly Grew, wants to gut Schmendrick like a fish.
I don't like the look of him. Slit his wizard. Got him.
But instead, they offer him food.
Have a taco.
I checked the closed captioning. They said taco. That classic European medieval dish. For reasons that I assume are clear in the book but make less sense in the movie, Schmendrick summons apparitions of the characters from Robin Hood because Cully hates Robin Hood. This makes Cully mad, so he ties Schmendrick to a tree with plans to sell him. So about the tree, Schmendrick casts a spell, presumably to free himself, and accidentally brings the tree to life.
Oh, I love you.
And the tree seems to like Schmendrick a whole bunch.
Love, 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 love.
Oh, what have I done?
He basically motorboats the tree.
Faithfulness beyond any man's deserving.
The tree calls the unicorn a hussy before the unicorn just turns it back into a tree.
She shall never have you, that hussy.
And I think it's safe to say that the tree scene just doesn't fit. Tonally, it doesn't fit with the rest of the movie. So I checked the book, and technically there is a scene where Schmendrick is tied to a tree, and he accidentally makes the tree fall in love with him. But there is no indication that the tree developed a face or tried to smother him with her bosom, so this visual interpretation is 100% on the animators. Molly Grew sees the unicorn and has an unexpectedly emotional reaction.
Where have you been? Where have you been? Damn you! Where have you been?
I almost missed it because I was just so distracted by the tree, but she says, "Damn you," which feels like a lot for a children's movie. In this movie, there are actually 2 dams and 1 hell.
What in hell was that to stop for?
Damn!
How many damn spells you have got on her?
And remember, I can edit out 2 of the hells, but I need to keep all the dams. It's a street cred thing.
She's upset that the unicorn didn't appear when she was a beautiful young maiden and instead appeared now when she's I don't know, a worn out old hag with no shoes on. I kind of want to look up in the book how old she is, but I'm worried that the text will be yes, she was a dried out old husk at the decrepit elderly age of 23. Molly Grew joins the quest, and it's time for another 80s ballad, a reprise of the last song.
The stars fade, the nightshade.
But the Red Bull seems to have sensed the unicorn and comes charging. So Schmendrick casts a spell and turns the unicorn into a human girl.
What have you done?
A naked human girl. Because of course. The bull is I didn't sign up for this, and then leaves. Schmendrick is really full of himself now that he's done actual magic.
The power will come to me whenever I need it. And one day it will come to me when I call.
Molly is angry, but she knew that Schmendrick was going to turn the unicorn into something, so I don't know what she thought he was going to turn the unicorn into that she found acceptable, but she does feel that turning the unicorn into a human is going to drive the unicorn insane.
You are an idiot! Do you hear me? You've lost her. You've trapped her in a human body. She'll go mad.
And when the unicorn wakes up, she's also deeply upset. Apparently being an immortal thing in a mortal body is very distressing.
I wish you would let the Red Bull take me. I can feel this body dying all around me.
She's stumbling around naked, upset about being human. It's like me after a night out. Schmendrick feels that the magic chose this form, not him, so being human must be something that will help her on her quest. They continue on to the castle with 2 guards observing their arrival.
The young girl, she looks so strange. She has a newness.
How could you possibly tell that? I feel like a normal person would say, "Oh, she looks kind of sick," and not, "I don't know, I think maybe she wasn't a human yesterday." They gain entry into the castle, which looks like it hasn't been cleaned in a really long time, and then the castle shakes.
What's that?
Yeah, no, it's all right. Don't be afraid. It's just the bull.
Oh, it's just the glowing red super demon in the basement. Don't worry about it. Turns out the guards were King Haggard and his son, Prince Lear.
I am King Haggard. This is Prince Lear, my son.
Hi.
There must be no other people in this castle. Haggard lives up to his name. I feel like the castle kind of reflects his personal hygiene. He definitely hasn't been brushing those teeth. Haggard decides to replace his previous court magician with Schmendrick, and the previous magician also only had a few teeth in there. King Haggard likes looking at stuff. It seems to be his main thing.
There is nothing that I can look at for very long, except the sea. Whether they mean my doom or not, I will look at them for a while.
Time for a very literal ballad about the sea.
In the sea.
Narwhals.
Narwhals lost at sea.
Okay, I don't like that this often very literal song just doomed the narwhals. This song is also seemingly a montage of what everyone's been up to for an indeterminate amount of time. Prince Lear is fighting a dragon, and the design indicates that it's a Chinese dragon, which is an interesting choice. I wondered if it specified the type of dragon in the book, because it seems unusual for an American-made show to not use the typical westernized version of a dragon, but no, in the book it just said that the dragon was small. We see Haggard skulking around and just watching the unicorn, who they're calling Lady Amalthea, as she just stares out into the sea. And Lear approaches to offer her something, but I cannot for the life of me tell what it is. I kind of assumed that it was a piece of the dragon since it's green and we just saw him fighting a green dragon, but it looks fluffy. And when you look back at the dragon, there are no fluffy parts. Molly seems to have gotten a one-eyed cat with a peg leg. I love the peg leg cat. The prince is peeling potatoes with Molly, and there are no other people in this castle. I'm sure of it.
She looked at me, and I was sorry I had killed the thing. Sorry for killing a dragon. Imagine.
So it was a piece of the dragon? But like, it's not a piece that we saw on the dragon, so like, what did you give her? I looked it up, and I think in the movie it's supposed to be the dragon's hide, which I guess must have shrunk in the wash, I don't know. But in the book, he gave her the head.
But she never speaks to me, Molly. Not a word in all this time.
Apparently, all his attempts to kill stuff to impress her have gone unnoticed.
You might give him a gentle word, at the very least.
Molly tells the unicorn, hey, that awkward prince really likes you, so maybe be nice to him?
He only wishes you to think of him.
Haggard is also skulking nearby, like he does his only hobby. But it turns out that Amalthea is getting amnesia. She has no idea that she's a unicorn or why she's even there.
Once I can't remember.
Now Amalthea gets a song, and we realize that there's a lot of unicorn decor in this castle. And that apparently at least one part of this castle looks nice, and just all the rest of it looks like crap.
I must face the bull again and discover what he has done with them, before I forget myself forever.
Fortunately, Haggard does not hear this very loud conversation about their secret intentions.
Schmendrick will find a way down to the Red Bull. He has been searching every day.
Or he does, and he just doesn't care. Like he doesn't care about his teeth. The bull roars and the castle shakes.
The bull be going out.
The bull needs to go for his walk. Like a dog. I love the peg-leg cat. I also have a cat with only one eye, but she does have all four legs. Peg-leg cat overheard their conversation.
Soon there'll be a human woman in that body and no unicorn at all ever again.
Hearing the voiceover of a cat with a pirate voice being petted is something.
Oh, purr, do that. Yes, that be nice.
Amalthea's having nightmares about the harpy. She wakes up and runs into Prince Lear, who sings a definitely on-key song about how much he loves her.
Words are always getting in my way.
Man doesn't know she's a horse.
I feel as though my tongue were made of clay.
And they kiss. Peg-leg Cat has given them a riddle to figure out how to get down to the Red Bull's lair, and Schmendrick is trying to figure it out. There's also just a random skeleton in this main room in the castle. We discover that Lear isn't actually Haggard's son. Apparently Haggard just, found a baby and decided, I'm gonna keep it.
I picked him up on a doorstep where some peasant had left him.
Also, yes, the scenes do kind of jump around a lot. It feels like they took all the scenes from the book, wrote them on pieces of paper, put them in a hat, and then picked out like a quarter of them, and then that became the movie. Haggard reveals that he's known the whole time that Amalthea is a unicorn.
I know very well what you have come for, and you know very well that I have them. Try to take them.
So I guess he's known all along that she wants to trick him and free all the unicorns he captured. And he just let her into his house anyway.
Knew you as soon as I saw you on the road, coming to my door. Since then, there is no movement of yours that has not betrayed you.
Can you imagine being that bored with life that a bunch of people show up on your doorstep and you know they want to rob you, but you just decide, sure, let them in. Let's see how this plays out. It's like responding to one of those foreign prince email money scams, knowing it's a scam, just because you need a project. Haggard reveals that all the unicorns are in the sea.
The Red Bull gathered them for me one by one, and I bade him drive each one into the sea.
Apparently, they bring him joy, and he took Marie Kondo's advice too seriously about holding on to things that bring you joy, and thought that meant he had to put a bunch of unicorns in water.
I like to watch them. They fill me with joy.
Amalthea says that she doesn't see anything in the ocean, and now Haggard can see his reflection in her eyes, which he couldn't before.
Your eyes have become empty as Lear's.
So between that and the amnesia, things do not bode well for the unicorn. Also, Haggard really needs some eye drops for himself. You know, if I'm being honest, some days are just so dull and bleak that if I had a super powerful fire demon capable of collecting and bringing me things that brought me joy, I might turn into this guy. We don't know. I would keep brushing my teeth, though. Our heroes go to talk to that random skeleton, and this is the part that I remember the most from when I was a kid, because this is when my friend's mom came in the room to turn off the TV because she thought it was getting too scary. And I do think she missed the scenes with the harpy in the tree.
Come on!
But as an adult, the skeleton is the best part of the movie.
Say please.
Please.
No.
The skeleton is having a great time. They need to bribe the skeleton with wine to tell them how to get to the Red Bull's lair, but there's no wine in the castle. So Schmendrick has to turn water into wine, like somebody else we know.
He asked me to turn water to wine, and I believe you know someone that did that before.
Okay.
Who was that?
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
I of course mean Nigerian magician Babs Cardini in the most awkward interview of all time.
Do you know how it is?
I don't want to have it.
It's actually good.
Let me smell it.
I doubt it has any smell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except Schmendrick doesn't have Babs Cardini's skill, so he has to trick the skeleton into telling them where to go, and then offering him an empty bottle and convincing him that it's full of wine.
It's weak at best. No nose, no body, hardly any bouquet at all.
The skeleton likes wine.
Give it to me if you don't want it, but don't throw it away!
He really likes wine. But the skeleton gets rosy-cheeked and drunk anyway, so mind over matter, I guess.
That was the real stuff. That was wine.
Wine. But then the skeleton recognizes the unicorn.
No, you don't. Not that one.
And his eyes glow red as he begins to scream.
Haggard! Unicorn!
Yeah, it is kind of disturbing. I don't think this movie is for kids. I'm sorry I doubted you, childhood friends, Mom. They managed to make it into the right cave passage, but Haggard destroys the door behind them, so the only way out is through the Red Bull's lair. Prince Lear just followed them in. He doesn't know what they're doing, but he's here now.
How did you know how to get here?
What was there to know?
So they explain everything to him, including the fact that his girlfriend is a unicorn.
Haggard has them all now, drifting in and out on the tides for his delight. All but one.
He takes it surprisingly well.
I love whom I love.
Well, that's a very nice sentiment. But when I change her back into her true self,
I love whom I love.
Man's like, I don't care if she's a horse. I'm still into it. Amalthea as a human loves Lear, and she doesn't want to turn back into a unicorn.
I'm no unicorn, no magical creature. I'm human, and I love you.
Amalthea is in denial, and I assume that her feelings for Lear are supposed to be real, but aside from that one kiss, we have no idea what the progression of their relationship is. Like, we have no idea what Amalthea as a human even wants. Like, it's not even clear what she remembers at any given point in time.
I will not love you when I'm a unicorn.
Amalthea, don't.
Lipstick all over my teeth. Oh no, I'm making it worse. It feels like the unicorn was the main character at the beginning of the movie, and then she met Schmendrick and they both became main characters, and then she got turned into a human and also turned into a secondary character.
I want to die when you die.
And I'll be honest, the dialogue in this movie is just very stilted and unclear, so that doesn't really help explain what's happening.
I am a hero, and heroes know that things must happen when it is time for them to happen.
The weird thing is, Beagle, the original author, wrote the screenplay. So I don't know if this is a case where it was butchered in editing, or if maybe the source material shouldn't have been made into a singular condensed movie, or if it's a situation where someone is a talented writer in one medium, but that doesn't really translate into another medium. Eventually, Lear refuses to marry Amalthea, even though he loves her, but he just doesn't want to be standing in the way of her quest.
marry the prince and live happily ever after.
Yes, that is my wish.
No.
The Red Bull appears, seemingly realizing that Amalthea is a unicorn and thus must be driven into the sea. Schmendrick begins to cast the spell to turn Amalthea from a human back into a unicorn. But first, her dress has to fall completely off her body, so she is fully naked. I mean, it's not more explicit than a Sailor Moon transformation sequence, but still. The Red Bull chases the unicorn to the sea, and Lear tries to protect her, but the bull murders him. This upsets the unicorn enough that she finally fights back, and her power is able to push the bull into the ocean, where a literal tidal wave of unicorns engulf the bull and then run ashore. The stampede of unicorns causes Haggard's castle to fall into the ocean, and Haggard goes along with it. As a unicorn, Amalthea is able to bring Lear back from the dead, and the two of them look at each other before Amalthea runs away. Schmendrick and Molly say goodbye to Prince Lear.
I will miss you. I never had any friends before.
That was super obvious. I guess Molly and Schmendrick are a thing now.
Come then. Come with me.
I will.
Okay, Schmendrick sees the unicorn one last time. She's been changed by her experience and now knows love and regret, something no other unicorn has ever felt.
I'm no longer like the others, for no unicorn was ever born who could regret. But now I do. I regret.
The unicorn leaves to return to her forest, but she can never truly go back to the life that she used to live. It's a bittersweet ending. And I think it resonates with a lot of people that the experiences that we go through change us. And even when the dark times have passed, we're different than we were before, and we can never truly go back to being that person. No, this animated movie from 1982 makes me feel real feelings. My weakness. And that's The Last Unicorn. I don't know what was up with the harpy and the tree and the nudity, but even if this movie was kind of choppy and strange, it was still very beautiful and melancholy. Apparently, the version of The Last Unicorn that Beagle published in 1968 was actually his second attempt at writing the story. His previously unpublished first attempt, written in 1962, was eventually printed and released in 2006. I looked for a copy, but it was a limited run, so I couldn't find it. It's not a finished book, though. It's apparently an 85-page draft, and it doesn't even have an ending. Beagle did continue to write and publish short stories with characters set in the world of The Last Unicorn. Apparently, Beagle had to sue his former manager, alleging elder abuse, fraud, and slander to regain control over the copyright for The Last Unicorn. Apparently, his manager was taking control of things and telling people that Beagle had dementia and not to listen to him. Beagle won the lawsuit in 2015, and he now dubs his body of work the Beagleverse. I've seen claims that a live-action reboot of The Last Unicorn and a stage musical written by Fergie are both in the works. However, the only real source for that information was apparently a page on Beagle's website, and it's subsequently been taken down, so I don't think those things are happening. I don't want to end this video on a depressing note. That's not what I'm here for, so I decided to look up if you can actually get sap from a red oak tree. That's the type of tree we saw in this movie, a red oak. And according to the forums on mapletrader.com, a hobbyist website for syrup enthusiasts, the results are mixed. One person says you can, but it'll be a nutty sap, and you just have to convince that tree to give up its nutty sap. Someone else talks about the time they drilled 2 oaks. Post some pics of the trees in question. Yeah, they want them tree pics. I've tapped a couple trees that I now question. Who hasn't? I look back at them and say they are maple. I was sure they were when I tapped them. Syrup goggles. How do you tell by looking up? What is the difference between a maple and a oak up there? I can tell you. Tapped my first oak yesterday. I looked up to admire her and saw oak leaves. I guess that's what the kids are calling it. Okay, here is an actual joke that someone shared on the forum. So we're gonna go out on this joke. All right. 2 tall trees, a birch and a beech, are growing in the woods. A small tree begins to grow between them, and the beech says to the birch, "Is that a son of a beech or a son of a birch?" The birch says he cannot tell. Just then a woodpecker lands on the sapling. The birch says, "Woodpecker, you are a tree expert. Can you tell if that is a son of a beech or a son of a birch?" The woodpecker takes a taste of the small tree. He replies, "It is neither a son of a birch nor a son of a beech. It is, however, the best piece of ash I've ever put my pecker in." So make of that what you will, and think of me and this movie the next time you have syrup. Fun fact, I literally just spent several hours filming this and then went and uploaded the footage. Fortunately, I didn't take my makeup or the wig off yet. And then I discovered that the sound was bad. I assumed that it was actually the computer mic audio and not my Yeti mic input. I don't know how that happened, but so if I look tired, if I look like I've been wearing this makeup for a little while, it's because I have. I've had this lipstick on way too long now and it's fighting me.